Recently, NVIDIA's released this cool piece of software called the RTX Voice Audio Driver. It's a really interesting piece of software, and what it can do is filter out unwanted noise from your microphone. So when you're like doing something like a stream for Twitch or something like that, and you have a clacky keyboard, and there's some wild videos out there of people being able to filter out vacuums and all sorts of things right next to them. It's really wild what it can do. But if you look at the control panel, it has two features actually. One for your input, like your microphone, and another for things that you play through your device. I haven't heard much people talking about the use cases for that, and I have an idea of how to utilize that. Are you ready? Let's go. This is Excelsior Tech. So first things first, download your RTX Voice Audio Driver. I've got it right here, and just install it, just like you would normally. And once it's done, the RTX Voice control panel will open up, and you'll see two different distinct set of settings. So the first one at the top here, that is for your inputs. That is for controlling RTX Voice on your microphone. So what you'll do is you will set the microphone you want to use in your control panel here on the input device, and then on your software like Zoom or Discord or wherever else, select your microphone as the microphone RTX Voice. Then test and adjust your suppression to your liking. Now the use cases for this are pretty straightforward. There are tons of videos you can find on the internet showing the amazing stuff that the RTX Voice audio driver can do. It can take out just background noises of kids playing. I've seen people have like vacuums and like air blowers, and there's all sorts of videos you can find there. But I'm going to show you a different function that RTX Voice can use, and that is the second piece of this control panel. That is on your output device. How would you use it for that? Well, I'll tell you. What you use it for is you use it for outputting things playing through your system. So for instance, say you're watching a Twitch streamer who, is playing a game, but he's got this keyboard that's kind of in the background that's always clicking and clacking, and you just want to kind of get rid of that noise. Or maybe you're watching somebody's, stream at the beach, and there's a lot of wind noise and things like that, and it's hard to hear them, or maybe there's other kinds of background noise that are just, distracting, whatever. You can play back their somebody else's recording and filter out the background noise. Pretty amazing. Now, once I saw this feature, I had an idea of what this could be used for. And let me show you. So first, to kind of give you an idea of how this works, I'm going to show you a set of old recordings, some extremely old and some pretty old, just to show you like what RTX Voice kind of can do for these old recordings.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'd planned to speak to you tonight to report on the State of the Union. The events of earlier today have led me to change those plans. Today is a day for mourning and remembering. Nancy and I are pained to the core with the tragedy of the Shuttle Challenger. We know we share this pain with all of the people of our country. This is truly a national loss.
So this recording of Ronald Reagan speaking right after the Challenger blew up is really interesting. It as you can see as I play with the slider, the recording would get a lot of noise into it, and it's probably just the nature of the old analog recording that they used at the time. But when I would pull it back, you could see that it actually works really well. It can actually isolate the voice really well. Something to keep in mind, and that you'll notice as I'm playing with the slider, when it takes away the background, it also takes away things like room noise and a little bit of echo. And, if those are things you want in your recording, as you can see with this, it's really isolating just the voice. But yeah, this one, it cleaned it up pretty well. Let me show you something else. So this is a famous, really old, late 1800s recording by Edison, considered to be one of the first recordings. It's interesting because, of course, the medium has deteriorated over time, and trying to preserve it, they've done their best, but it's extremely deteriorated. But RTX Voice doesn't do a good job of cleaning it up, and there's a reason for that. RTX Voice wants to suppress anything that it thinks is background. And in this recording, the background static is so prominent, it's kind of treated like it's the foreground. And so you'll notice sometimes it's actually the only part that's being isolated is the background noise. So yeah, I don't think RTX Voice works really well for this type of situation. I'm going to show you one more.
Let freedom ring from Stone Mountain of Georgia. Let freedom ring from Lookout Mountain of Tennessee. Let freedom ring from every hill and molehill of Mississippi, from every mountainside. Let freedom ring, and when this happens, when we allow freedom to ring, when we let it ring from every village and every hamlet, from every state and every city.
Okay, well, here's another situation where I feel like the RTX Voice is not a good fit. Dr. King's speech has a lot of nuances to it, and there's people speaking in the background, there's people clapping that are in the background, and there are people cheering him on as he's speaking. And, you know, those are parts of the speech you want. So keep that in mind. If you are trying to clean something up that has part of the background that you want to keep, this suppression very quickly will take that out. So yeah, like in this situation, I would not use RTX Voice. So now I'm going to show you what I want to use this for. A long time ago, about 10 years ago, I followed my father around with a handheld recorder, and I just had him tell me about his life. He was a musician, a professional musician up until his mid-30s, and has a lot of interesting stories and things that I want to capture. And so I did, and it was a really awesome experience. There were times where we were outside and I didn't have a windsock on the mic, and so there was a little bit of wind noise, and we were in the car sometimes, and so when I saw RTX Voice, it gave me this idea. I want to go back and see if I can clean this up. So let me show you kind of some clips here, and let's see what RTX Voice can do for my audio.
Because I loved music. That was in junior high, and I loved music, and boy, that was just to hear that music. I built speakers for them. He had in the old house, he had an upstairs room that was the demonstration room.
Pretty cool, huh? It actually works really well. Of course, I'm finessing it a little bit, not putting it all the way up, keeping it down a little bit. In fact, I would suggest going slowly from the bottom and just stop exactly where it starts to get to the point where it gets rid of everything you don't want. I wouldn't go any higher than that. If you go any higher, it starts pulling frequencies out of your own voice, and as you can hear from other tests that I've been doing, it starts to make the voice sound a little weird. Okay, so how am I going to record this? As you can see, I've got Audacity open right here, and what I'm going to show you is that by default, Audacity has MME or Windows Direct Sound set for its default driver. And then next to that is the microphone. This is what you're going to use as your input. Now, if you click on the input that you're going to try to record with, you'll notice there is NVIDIA RTX Voice there, but it's the microphone version. This is what's running through your microphone, not running through your computer. So here's what you got to do. If you go back to that Windows driver and you select Windows WASAPI, then you go over to the input. Check it out. There's some new options here. There are several loopback options. Now, these loopback options are just like they sound. They're looping back through into the microphone input what's being played through your computer. So here, this is important what you set. As you look on my control panel, you'll see that I'm set to the speakers. You need to set your input to the same one. And then make sure your audio channels are set to stereo. If it's set to mono, it will error if you try to record with that. So set it to stereo, and then set your output to the NVIDIA RTX Voice. Make sure you do it all like that. Now when you do it all like that, then hit record on Audacity, and then start playing your audio through your player. I'm using VLC right here. And then it's recording. And it's recording with the filter. Isn't that cool? You can take any of your old audio recordings, and if you want to clean them up, this will do it. It might not work for every audio recording, as you saw in my tests, but it surprises me how well it does work. Also, keep in mind that if you then preview this audio in Audacity, turn the suppression all the way down to preview. You are still playing things through the NVIDIA RTX Voice, and so you could be getting suppression that wasn't actually applied to the recording. And if you want to make sure you're testing the recording, turn the suppression off and you'll be able to notice if it's working or not. And that's it. You are now ready to clean up your old audio recordings and save some memories. As always, if you found this interesting and helpful, please give me a thumbs up, subscribe, ring the bell, and I'll talk to you later.